Let us start with a simple question. What exactly is a platform? In simple terms, a platform is any combination of hardware and software used as a foundation for building and running business applications. A well-built platform allows developers to push code, which kicks off continuous integration. This basically means build, test, and package software, which is followed up by continuous delivery, which allows deployment to different environments like development, staging, and production. A platform then usually provides a full feedback loop through monitoring, alerts, which gives us feedback. And this delivery process creates a healthy, productive loop for iteration and improvement. And this is also more commonly known as the DevOps lifecycle. A platform like this should enable teams, provide them with full autonomy with little to no friction. Now, there are a lot of challenges for platform engineers to build high-performing platforms just like this. There are three main challenges that platform engineers need to master. The first one being scale. Most platforms are not built with scalability in mind. This is because popular tools we use focus on simplicity. Think of all the popular tools that we use today. These tools make it very easy to get things up and running today. They usually think hello world, one microservice, and they make it easy to duplicate, copy paste. Now naturally, people follow the path of least resistance. Copy paste is easy, so naturally we end up with drift and inconsistencies, and this type of scale simply becomes unmanageable. The second challenge is governance. When this type of duplication in infrastructure happens, security, scale, and cost go out of control. Now, governance is not about having an ivory tower. It's about setting up boundaries so that you can actually scale. Just think of a platform that provides the right building blocks, and the building blocks simply enforce best practices. Think of things like minimum replicas, or running applications with non-root users, or setting memory limits. You can do these things through things like policies without copy pasting. This leads to my third challenge, which is software delivery. Now, a deployment is a set of steps, which basically involves taking a software package and copying it onto servers, then applying configurations and injecting secrets, followed by validating the deployment, health checking, and making the application go live. Now, all modern deployment and delivery tools make it simple to perform these steps, but the problem is they focus mainly on simplicity, which means it becomes easy just to duplicate, and we're back to the first challenge. You end up with duplication, copy pasting, inconsistencies, drift, and it all becomes unmanageable, especially when you have hundreds of services and deployment pipelines. So how do you build a solid platform? When you run a business, you'll naturally need infrastructure and applications, and as you scale your business, you will need more applications and infrastructure, which means it's very natural to duplicate this. So the key here is to scale without duplicating work. Scale in a way that is known. Scale in a way that is consistent, with boundaries and rules that are secure by default. That means when you're building a platform, you have to build it with an architecture that allows you to scale. You want to provide building blocks for your developers to use, and you want to be able to say, this is how you deploy to our platform. Whether it is Terraform modules that are being consumed, or whether it's simple YAML that describe your deployment. This could either be something like Kubernetes, Docker Swarm, Terraform, Ansible, whether it's a standard GitHub action, which takes in a bunch of parameters and performs some action. You want to be able to set up an architecture where you can define these boundaries, basically specifying to your engineering and delivery teams, this is what you can and can't do. You cannot write custom scripts or add YAML files you found off the internet. You cannot add public GitHub action steps you found and insecurely run it in a company platform. To build delivery pipelines, you use your platform's governed, standardized building blocks. And no, you technically don't want developers to copy-paste these pipelines without any of the building blocks and governance in place. So how do you do this? Now, this video is proudly sponsored by Octopus Deploy. If you're not familiar with Octopus Deploy, it's a great delivery tool that has a lot of depth and control. Check out the introduction video for a full introduction. Link is down below. Now, as a DevOps, SRE, or platform engineer, I think you'll find a lot of value to learn how Octopus looks at some of these challenges and how it aims to solve them. And this will be able to make you think about your own platform and perhaps give you a new perspective. So let's get learning, and without further ado, let's go. So I want you to think about your deployment pipelines while we aim to solve these challenges. So here I have a deployment pipeline in Octopus Deploy for a given microservice. Since this video is about Octopus, you could visualize any tool that you are currently using that defines your deployment process. And remember, this could be any kind of cloud deployment. Doesn't have to be Kubernetes, could be a Lambda function, could be an Azure web deploy, virtual machines, Terraform, or Helm charts. Now, as a platform engineer, if I gave this to a team, their natural human instinct would be to copy paste this when building a new service. But then we're back to the original problem. If I am allowed to copy paste things, there's a few things that happen. I lose control with my process flow across the company. Service A does one thing, service B does something else, and service C ends up doing its own thing altogether. This means I'm scaling without any boundaries. I'm also losing governance, because as a platform engineer, maybe you help set up service A, but then when the team sets up service B, they may add new steps, remove some steps, make some alterations, and these may go against the company's best practices, and it may make it difficult to comply with audits. So you end up losing governance completely. So you want to scale delivery safely without duplicating work. And you also want to be able to scale from a central place where you actually have governance. Now, this is where the Octopus Platform Hub comes in. It is set up with all of this in mind to allow you to scale delivery safely without duplicating work. So it gives you that architectural structure to scale. And the cool thing with this is we start off by creating a new Git repository. If you're using something like GitHub, you can create a repository, and this Git repository becomes your source of truth for your platform processes and policies. And then we define process templates. This helps us standardize deployment processes. So they become the reusable standardized building blocks that we spoke about. And all of these process templates, as you can see here, are stored in a Git repo. And we can start by simply creating a new process template, and then we can give it a fancy name. And here we can define a template for deployment processes. Things like running a script, deploying a package, sending Slack notifications, anything that forms part of your company deployment processes. And this will allow you to start adding steps to your process. Here you might see some familiar things like Argo CD, Kubernetes, Docker, Terraform, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Windows and Linux server environments. It's very flexible. You can pretty much deploy anywhere and perform steps like sending emails, doing health checks, manual intervention, and performing change requests. Many of these helps you with governance and compliance. You can even import custom templates from your existing building blocks. Like here I have one that allows me to deploy a config map and a secret to Kubernetes. I can then build out my process template by adding my first script step to create a Kubernetes namespace in my cluster. Then I can go ahead and add another step. This time I'm going to use my building block for deploying a config map. Then I can add another step, and I'm going to import another building block to deploy a Kubernetes secret. Then finally, I'm going to add my final step. This time I'm going to click on Kubernetes, and I'm going to go with adding a Kubernetes YAML step. As we're building out these building blocks that becomes our template for our process, we need to think about the parameters that developers can pass in, and any other parameters that we need as input to complete our deployment process. Once we have built out our process and we have our parameters good to go, we can go ahead and publish this template. The important takeaway here is that you can see that everything is version controlled and it all lives in a Git repository. We can decide whether this is a major change or a minor change. This gives you great flexibility because it controls how you roll out these changes. We'll take a look at this in a bit, but major changes are generally ones that require your development teams to take some action because there are breaking changes. Minor changes allows you to perform non-breaking changes. So when developers consume these process templates, they can decide how to opt in, and they can opt in to automatically accept minor changes. That means it allows you to perform updates that are non-breaking to this process template without affecting and slowing development teams down. And the same goes for fixing bugs and patching these templates. So now we've got a process template that contains the steps to perform a microservice deployment. It's version controlled, it has parameters. We've got the building blocks that developers can now use to go and deploy their applications. And we can control it here from a central place. Now, instead of copy-pasting service A to create service B, which is the natural human thing to do, Octopus allows us to create a deployment pipeline for a new service using and referencing this template. Now, this allows for two main things. Firstly, all projects that use this template become aware of the template. And secondly, the cool thing is when the platform engineering team introduces any changes, bug fixes, or critical updates, the development teams can opt in to either automatically or manually consume these updates. So now let's go ahead and put our development hat on and create a new microservice deployment pipeline using the Platform Hub template. So as a developer, I can go over to Add New Project. I can give my project a name, call it Service B, and go ahead and click Create Project. And this will take me to the process editor where I can start adding steps. I can head over to Process Template, and here we can see we have Deploy Microservice to Kubernetes. I can go ahead and add this template, and this is where I can accept what changes I would like to opt into. So I can accept all minor changes. This means I'll automatically get bug fixes, patches, which is great. Or I can say I only want to accept patches, and major versions will require manual update. Now this is great because it gives us the flexibility to opt in as a development team. So that means changes like critical patches and bug fixes won't slow down my development team, and it gives the platform engineering team flexibility to make changes. So take note, we're on version 6. I'm going to go ahead and add the template, and here we go. We've got all the building blocks to do a deployment, and obviously I'm going to have to fill out some parameters, and then under settings you can see we're currently using version 6 of our template, and that's how simple it is to create a pipeline by consuming a process template. It's important to know that as a developer I still have the flexibility to add more steps. This means I can still augment my pipeline by adding any type of step before or after my pipeline. This means I can still do things like add manual approval steps, send Teams or Slack messages, so I still have that flexibility and I'm not restricted by the platform engineering team. But you can see how easy it is to create a pipeline without duplicating work, and our dev teams can easily opt in when our platform engineering team needs to make critical changes. Now imagine our company undergoes a finance or compliance audit, and part of this compliance audit we need to comply with new requirements. Let's say, for example, all deployment pipelines must have an approval step, or they need a Slack notification or an email notification to key stakeholders. This is where something like policy comes into play, and now you'll see why process templates and policies go so well together. It means our platform teams are not gatekeepers but enablers, and these types of new requirements should not have our delivery teams blocked. With the combinations of policies and process templates, we should be able to seamlessly comply with these new requirements. So as a dev team, on our service B, we have our version preferences set to accept minor changes. Now let's say our company has to comply with new auditing requirements. This is where policies come in. Now policies within Platform Hub is a way to embed the governance that I talked about directly into the process. It's a way for us to set up, provide, and enforce boundaries that allows us to scale even further, and it's fully automated. Now as you scale and you build out service C and D and more microservices, your policies and governance rules are enforced from day one. Let's say it's day 300 and you have many microservices, and all of a sudden you fail to comply with an audit because let's say all production deployments now require manual approval. With policies you have granular control. You can either enforce it immediately to comply with audits, or you can phase the rollout. You have that control. So under the Platform Hub menu, we also have policies. This page allows you to create brand new policies. You can either start with a blank policy and build your own, or you can pick some of the pre-built policies from the menu. I'm going to start from a blank policy just to show you how it all works. I called it approval step, and I give a meaningful description here. This allows my developers to understand the policy if any failures occur. So they can clearly see that a manual approval step must exist in all production deployments. I can also set a violation reason. This gives developer a clear reason why they may not comply. It clearly states you do not have a manual approval step in the deployment, or it is skipped. Please add this to your deployment as a new step, followed by a violation action. This allows us as a platform or a security team to decide what action we want want to take. In this case, we want to block the deployment. So in this example, I'm showing you how to take action immediately so that you can start complying, but I'm also going to show you how process templates and policies work together. So rather than now blocking all your teams, we can simply make a change to our process that has the manual approval and all teams can just go ahead and consume it. This way we don't slow our delivery teams down. The last two fields on the policy is the scope and the condition. The scope defines what the policy applies to. So here you can see that this policy will apply to everything when it's a production environment deployment and if my deployment to Kubernetes template is used. So this targets our deployments. And then we have the condition, which basically works out whether the policy should take effect or not. So basically we will block by default unless proven otherwise, and we'll only allow it if the manual intervention step has not been skipped. So this is basically how you write conditions as well as the scope of a policy. It's written in a language called Rego. Rego is a popular policy language used by the popular open policy agent. It is used for defining policies that is easy to read and write. Now in the Octopus Deploy Platform Hub documentation, there's a policy section with how to get started and a bunch of examples. There are many scoping examples of how you can scope these policies and some condition examples for triggering them, and all the popular use cases are handled here. So you can either write your own using these examples, or you can choose some policies off of the menu that's created for you. Either way, it's extremely easy. It's also important to know that these policies are also versioned, just like process templates. And once I publish, I can decide to keep it active or inactive. So with my policy now active, we've gone ahead and enforced our policy across all of our deployments. So as the dev team, I've gone ahead and deployed my new service B to the development environment and noticed no issues because the policy runs on production. If I go ahead and try to deploy this to production and I go ahead and click deploy, notice that it immediately gets blocked and we can see it failed to apply with compliance policies. If I click into this, you can see it clearly states that we do not comply with the approval step, and it gives us the reasoning here. So as a development team, I can clearly see why I'm not complying, and it clearly tells me to add an approval step to my process. So the key takeaways here is that you can see that we have the building blocks in place with process templates. We can scale now without duplicating and copy pasting delivery pipelines. So we scale in a way that is known, and we have the governance to go along with it. The other key takeaway is that we are in control of the messaging, and the messaging is clear. The delivery teams know exactly what to do, and they can consume these things at their own pace. Therefore, our platform teams are enabling our delivery teams instead of blocking them. So where this gets quite powerful is I can use process templates to comply with my policies as well. So as a platform engineer, if I go back to the platform hub to my process template and I take a look at the template we've created, what I can go ahead and do is add a new step, and I can go ahead and select the manual intervention required step. Then I can go ahead and reorder them, and I can go ahead and move it wherever I like. Now with that change made, I can go ahead and commit it. And here what I can do is, if this is a major change, I can either have my delivery teams opt in, or I can just say this is a minor change. Then I can go ahead and publish it. And with that now published, because I published it as a minor non-breaking change, all of my services that consume this template may get the updates. If I had copy pasted all my pipelines, I would have had to go to each one of my pipelines and manually add that step. You can see with the power of process templates, this is pretty much automated. Now, as a developer, if I come back to my deployment process for service B, notice that I automatically have got this new step as part of my deployment process. As a developer, I did not have to do anything. My pipeline is set to consume minor changes and bug fixes automatically from the template. So I automatically received these updates. I can just go ahead and create a new release. Once that deployment has passed my development environment, I can go ahead and deploy to production, go ahead and click on deploy, and here you can see we have our new manual intervention required step, and our compliance policy check has now passed, and I can go ahead and approve it. This allows my deployment process to continue without slowing down my delivery teams. So hopefully this video helped you understand some of the challenges of managing delivery of software to platforms at scale, and how Octopus aims to solve some of these challenges and the philosophies it follows. How do you manage scale and governance, duplicating processes, consistency and drift? Let me know down in the comments below, and check out the link down below to the official Platform Hub documentation. If you liked the video, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and remember to follow the Ultimate DevOps Roadmap in the link down below on Instagram. And if you want to support the channel even further, hit the join button down below to become a YouTube member. And as always, thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.